This is our list of the top 10 strongest Paramecia Devil Fruits in One Piece. Number 10. Opi Nomi. We're starting with a fruit that can one-shot anyone in the series. The Opi Nomi allows the users to transform any person they touch into a toy. That's right, humans, toys. Fishmen, toys. Giants, slightly bigger toys. All it takes is a single touch, and the created toy is forced to obey the user. We've seen a whole group be turned into toys with just a single swipe. This power even cancels out other Devil Fruit abilities. It also gives the entire world super dementia, because once somebody is turned into a toy, all memory of their existence disappears. Your dad could have gone out for sugar and never came back, but you'd never know. Sugar was able to decide what sort of toy a target would become. Regular toy minions aren't all that useful in a fight, but a user can combine multiple people into one toy, like Sugar's headcracker dolls. These things aren't only strong, they're damn near indestructible. And as if all that wasn't enough, for some reason, this fruit is the key to eternal youth. As broken as it may be on its own, it was the only way to keep Sugar from becoming Yonko level. If she ate this fruit as an adult instead of as a child, she'd be able to do something as crazy as remove the celestial dragons from the world or something. Absolutely busted, and this is only number 10. Number 9. Nomi. Another instant death fruit, but this one's a bit more versatile. This fruit is best known for its Mero beam, capable of turning entire crowds to stone instantly. These abilities can be used from a range or even in melee. Boa Hancock has used Perform Femur to great effect, petrifying even the most resistant targets with one well-placed kick. She can even counter gunfire with Slave Arrow, which means the power can turn non-living things to stone too. This fruit's powers can be fueled by any strong emotion. Boa Hancock uses feelings of love or lust. The Seraphim, as Snake, can use her cuteness instead. And once you're turned to stone, it's over. You're effectively dead unless the user decides to free you. Nothing else can fix this. If the current user of the fruit is killed, any remaining petrification becomes permanent. Not even a new user of the fruit can undo it. It's no wonder Blackbeard wanted this incredible power. Number 8. Opi Nomi. Doflamingo String Fruit is one of the most versatile Devil Fruit abilities we have ever seen. With it, a person can infinitely create and control thin white strings. I know it sounds lame, but you should know better than to judge based on appearances when it comes to One Piece by now. Because these strings stick to any surface, Doflamingo was able to connect them to clouds, allowing him to effectively fly. If these strings are connected to a person's spine, the user can control them like a puppet. This can be done to dozens of people at a time. Even strong characters like Sanji or Jozu from Whitebeard's crew couldn't fight against it. Sometimes Doflamingo used his fingers to control people, and other times he didn't at all despite still controlling them. A skilled enough user can use it to perform surgery on themselves and others, either internally or externally. The presentation of Doflamingo strings was mostly just for visual flair. They're usually too thin to be sensed by anything besides observation haki. And since the strings themselves can be infused with armament haki, anyone without strong haki is as good as dead. But even without haki, the strings are too tough for most people or things to destroy. I mean, not even a blazing meteor could do any damage. Speaking of which, Overheat was pretty much Doflamingo enjoying his slave master ancestry with a flaming hot whip made of condensed strings. This fruit makes finger pistols even deadlier than a real gun. Just one string is enough to sever limbs like a hacksaw. Forget Flamingo. This fruit already has one of the best clone abilities in One Piece. Doflamingo was able to create an identical copy of himself that was just as strong. And because it's made completely out of strings, it doesn't feel pain, can't be killed, and is made of one of the most durable materials in the world, and can be completely coated in haki like Virgo. But it is the ultimate technique, Birdcage, that makes this fruit a Buster Call level weapon of mass destruction. With it, a user can encase an entire island the size of Dressrosa in a dome made of strings. These strings are so thin and so sharp that they pretty much become a force field that shreds anything it comes in contact with. You can't even call for help, since any signals a Dendenmushi sends are sliced to bits. Awakening takes his Devil Fruit even further by allowing the user to turn the very environment itself into strings. Turning entire buildings into deadly strings only makes it that much harder to escape the powers of this top tier Devil Fruit. Number 7. Doku Nomi. Magellan's Venom Fruit allows its users to create and control different types of poison. They also become immune to all the nasty effects of poison, even if they didn't make it themselves. Right out of the gates, this power is a biohazard to all organic life. Its mere existence is a crime against humanity. Poisons may be produced as a liquid or gas and can range from minor inconveniences to guaranteed death. And if the user decides to use several different types of poison at once, a target may become incurable if they aren't already dead. This fruit is very close to being Logia level, but it doesn't actually turn the user into poison itself. Although you could argue that because Blackbeards can't either, and it's a special Logia, that this should be one too. By covering their own body in liquid poison, a user of this fruit becomes almost impossible for most living things to fight. Simply trading blows with such a person, hockey or not, is a one-way trip to the final Sky Island. With his signature move Hydra, Magellan was able to create a three-headed dragon made of liquid poison. The poison this thing produces is so strong that it can dissolve a target outright. The Hydra can even be used for travel. Magellan's Venom Demon technique is his strongest. He uses it as a last resort to become a demonic poison monster. The poison it creates is like a rapidly spreading disease that can even travel through and affect inanimate objects. It's strong enough to completely destroy something like Impelled Down. This fruit is the ultimate sickness, but our next one is the universal cure. Number 6. Opi Nomi. Law's Operation Fruit is one of the most legendary powers in One Piece. The Opi Nomi allows its user to create a room, an area of space where they have absolute control over physical matter. These rooms can be as small as a hand or as big as a mountain. As a doctor, the previous user of this fruit was able to perform miraculous operations that should have been impossible. With his swordsmanship and medical expertise, Law can pretty much turn anyone or anything into buggy against their will. What I mean is, he can split them apart without the attack being lethal. With Shambles, Law is able to switch positions of anything in his room. Things get even crazier when you realize that the fruit can even manipulate things like souls by placing them in different bodies. The experience is so harsh for some that they immediately lose consciousness. The only way to really resist the influence of this fruit is to have much stronger haki than the user. And if your soul has been placed elsewhere, you won't even be able to access your own Devil Fruit abilities. The user can scan for anything in their room like an X-ray machine, which makes it really hard to hide something or even use a weapon. This disarming ability can shut down most fighters in One Piece. Even if you don't look like Law, a user of this fruit can steal hearts very easily. Even against a Logia user like Smoker, this is an instant win condition. The user can use their hands like a defibrillator to release powerful electrical charges. Law can use injection shot to fire his sword like a gun, piercing even the strongest of defenses. With Gamma Knife, the user creates a small blade of energy that completely ignores the outside durability of a target and instead targets their internal organs. This is taken even further thanks to Awakening. Shock Will can char a target from the inside out, even if they're built like Big Mom. Puncture Will lets Law pierce something from above while his sword extends downward, phasing through everything in its way, followed by a huge shockwave that destroys everything the weapon passed through. A room can even be made soundproof for the sake of stealth or to shut down other powers that depend on sound. The Opi Nomi is called the ultimate Devil Fruit because in exchange for the user's life, they can give another person eternal youth. Whoever called it that must have missed number 10 on this list. Number 5. Nikyu Nomi. Kuma's paw fruit allows its user to repel anything they touch at extreme speeds. Emphasis on anything. Even the air itself can become a lethal weapon with this fruit. Defensively, it's one of the greatest counter abilities ever. Kuma uses Ursa's Shock to turn a huge air bubble into a spirit bomb level projectile. And they can do the same thing with emotions, physical pain, and even memories. With a single touch, the user of this fruit can remove a target's will to fight, knowledge of their own techniques and abilities, or even who they are. And that's ignoring the ability to send a target anywhere on the planet with just a touch. Kuma used this to dismantle the entire Straw Hat crew in seconds. If he wanted to, he could send another Devil Fruit user into the ocean, or hell, even a volcano. The range of this Devil Fruit's abilities are greater than any other. We're also looking at arguably the fastest travel speed of any Devil Fruit. Yeah, that includes Kizaru's Light and Enel's Lightning, since they have to transform into their respective elements, which takes time. This is like Von Augur's Warp Fruit, but with more perks. And at that, do you think it's possible for this fruit to remove the Devil Fruit abilities of another person? Number 4. Soru Nomi. This list is full of one-hit killers, but Big Mom's Soul Fruit can kill without any physical contact at all. Soul Pocus lets a user drain a target's life force and use it as they please, stealing anything from seconds to even decades of a person's lifespan. When done with enough anger, this is enough to instantly kill the target. The only way to avoid this is to be completely fearless against the user. And listen, the user of this fruit doesn't even need to do this business themselves. Big Mom made a bunch of shadowy minions to harvest souls across Whole Cake Island. The user can imbue soul power into objects of any sort, creating loyal and powerful homies, which can have magical abilities of their own. The stronger the harvested soul, the stronger the resulting homie will be. But what's really scary is that the user of this fruit can straight up just eat a person's soul. Big Mom's special homies, Zeus, Napoleon, Prometheus, and Hera, were all created using fragments of her own soul. One slap with Zeus was enough to put down Sanji's father, Judge Vinsmoke. And although souls can't be infused into living things, this restriction doesn't really apply to the user themselves. By giving up some of their own lifespan, a user can get proportionally bigger and stronger. They can also turn parts of their own body into homies that act on their own. Big Mom used this feature to bring her own skeleton to life so that her bones would repair themselves. Yikes! Big Mom had a ton of insane moves, but the most impressive ones were combinations of her special homies. This fruit is like a twisted version of Disney magic. Number 3. Zushi Nomi. Admiral Fujitora's press fruit allows its user to create and control gravitational forces. The user's power is omnidirectional and can even extend to outer space. Every ancient Zoan user should be terrified of this man Fujitora because he uses it to casually bring down massive meteors. Surprisingly, a user can control many different fields of gravity at a time. It's like a supercharged version of telekinesis that isn't limited by range like Law's rooms are. A user can easily use it to make themselves, or anything they want, fly. It can be used to crush things even better than weight-based devil fruits like the Kilo Nomi or the Ton Nomi. And I want you to know that we haven't seen anything close to this devil fruit's true power. Think about it. Fujitora's extreme level observation haki is like a budget version of Viola's glare fruit. He can see things further than regular sight can, and can hear the true thoughts and emotions of others. Now mix that with his beyond island-sized range, and you're looking at an orbital strike of a fruit. It's like crushing a bug that's a city away from you. And listen, everyone likes to hype up the meteor thing, but let me remind you of something even crazier. Fujitora used this fruit's power to lift up tens of millions of pounds of rubble. So much that it covered the sky over Dressrosa. But that's not even the crazy part. He did this in chapter 798 and dropped it 2 entire chapters later in chapter 800. He held all that up while fighting Luffy. And after that, he was just standing there for a while, observing the people. This went on for so long that Bastille had to wonder how long he'd keep it up. And at no point was this a struggle for him. This wasn't even a named technique. Oh, and he lifted all that up while avoiding any living creatures, even if they were surrounded by it. Blackbeard's Darkness Fruit is a counter to all other Devil Fruit abilities except this one. Kinda. Blackbeard shuts off Devil Fruit powers by pulling a target in and touching them. But to pull something in, Blackbeard is just creating a strong gravitational force, which wouldn't even be strong enough to make Fujitora blink. Number 2. Uta Nomi. Uta's Sing Fruit drives the entire plot of One Piece film Red. It's like Freddy Krueger on steroids. It lets a person send the spirits of anyone who hears their voice to another dimension. In this inescapable world, the user has reality warping abilities that pretty much make them a god. The real world bodies of this fruit's victims fall unconscious. Not only are they completely defenseless, but the user can control them, giving them instant access to an army bigger and stronger than any other in known history. This ability can even work over Den Mushi signals. With this fruit, you could be the greatest prank caller of all time. Imagine calling Kaido and making him jump in the ocean. Also, if the user of this fruit dies, then anyone still in the other dimension will be stuck there. And listen, I don't think I've ever heard anyone accurately point out how terrifying that really is. The real bodies of these targets will be in an eternal coma leading to death. In One Piece, we know that spirits and or haki can be infused into things. It's how we have forever black blades like Mihawk's sword. With all that in mind, forget Impel Down. This is a literal hell of the One Piece world. It is inescapable and endless. And even though this fruit deals with spirits directly, there's no evidence of powerful haki making a difference at all. Luffy and Zoro are 2 of the greatest haki masters in the world, but both of these guys were trapped. And as if all that wasn't already an accurate depiction of the music industry, the user of this fruit can summon and seal dual-dimensional entities like Top Musica inside songs forever. I don't even know what this thing is. Nobody does. But it's yet another case of this fruit's powers extending beyond death, since it was a previous user of the fruit that sealed this creature. And to take this thing down, it took the combined efforts of Shanks and Luffy, among many others. And after ending the Kid Pirates in a single swing, hopefully, I don't have to explain how strong Shanks is alone. And sure, this world only lasts as long as the user is awake and can be pretty draining to keep up. But when you're using this power on 70% of the world's population, I'd like to think a bit of fatigue is normal. Yet Uta kept this up for a good while. Mind you, this was just the fruit in Uta's hands. Uta, the physically weaker than Nami diva with low stamina and no haki. This isn't even an awakened devil fruit, but if it gets you, you may never wake up. Number 1. Guraguranomi. Currently Blackbeards and formerly Whitebeards, the tremor fruit is widely considered the world's most powerful paramecia. When it comes to raw strength, this fruit is unmatched. Sengoku infamously claimed that it could destroy the entire world, and Oda called it one of the mightiest fruits in the class. Out of all the devil fruits in the world, Blackbeard specifically decided to take this one for himself. Maybe you think another power is stronger. Let us know, but it's hard to argue with these guys, or even this fruit's legendary track history. It's the only fruit to have been used by 2 Yonkos and has the most outstanding history of any paramecia type. It lets someone create major vibrations that can travel through pretty much anything. According to the ever-experienced Vice Admiral Soru, even if a person fled to the ends of the ocean, there would be nowhere to protect them from the full power of this fruit. Even as an old man, Whitebeard could use the fruit to move entire islands. And even without land, the sheer force of a tremor-enhanced blow can create an enormous seaquake. If he wasn't worried about saving Ace or keeping his crew safe, he could have sunk Marineford in an instant. It took the combined armament haki of 3 Marine admirals to protect a single location from this destructive force. Weapons are one thing. This fruit is an unending natural disaster. Even without complete destruction as the primary objective or outcome, the aftershocks and or tsunamis it creates can even be felt on other islands. Blackbeard described it as a power that brings destruction to all. Its power can be concentrated in different limbs and even weapons, all of which can also be coated with armament haki. We still haven't seen this fruit's true power at all, but it is the strongest. And if you haven't seen our top 10 strongest Logia fruits video, tap right here to change that.